Welcome to another excerpt of Grass killing his vocal cords by making an hour-long video on one champion. And today we're talking about my first rank 4, Count Nefaria. If you don't know, Science was my least wanted class from the Epoch of Pain quest. However, once I ranked 4 Nefaria, as you can see, I spend a lot of time playing him, and to be honest, I'm not mad at all. I'm extremely happy. Playing him for obviously this many fights just made my enjoyment of him grow and grow. And even though I thought he was already like the most powerful champion of last year, now I even more so think that. And I'm recording this the day after his rebalance information came out, and just to know that he is safe, he is not going to get tuned down or anything, which I didn't expect him to, but there was always the off chance that he was too tanky, his resistances were too high, stuff like that. I was a little worried, but now that I know he's safe, we're chilling. Like, I think he is the best champion released last year. Hopefully this video is going to show a little bit of that. And here is what's going to be the biggest deal for you guys. If Battlegrounds is the only thing you care about, he's not the best champion of last year. That would probably go to Dazzler. If you care about game modes that are not Battlegrounds, you will really, really like Count Nefaria. He's a champion who feels immortal. He's a champion where you just feel like you can't die sometimes. So, even if you might take some chip damage in BGs, you might lose some rounds. But if you take some chip damage in any other game mode, you can take a hell of a lot of it and everything looks successful. So, we're going to be starting the gameplay against Realm of Legends Winter Soldier and then Realm of Legends Captain Marvel. Show off some of his basic rotations, which I say some of even though there's like one rotation for Count Nefaria. It is get the SP1 to consume your currency, cash out with your SP2, and just repeat. Build currency, SP1, cash out with SP2. And while you're doing that, if you can, you want to parry the final hit of a special attack that's going to place your energy vulnerability, which is massive, by the way. Like, I see people, like in my comment section sometimes, where I'm using a fight where I can't do the counter evade, and his damage looks bad. If you use any fight where you can use that counter evade on the end of a special, his damage goes from decent to ridiculous. So anyway, that's a 43-second takedown of Winter Soldier. He is a pretty fast champion. Another, reason he might not be the fastest champion for Battlegrounds is the little bit of ramp they has to go to. I mean, you're going to get a lot of power back from devouring on your SP1, so your SP2 is going to give you a lot of damage after that. It doesn't take too long to access, but yeah, I value him way more higher in every other game mode. Than specifically BGs. And I do think he's a very good BGs attacker. I would still suggest you rank him if you only care about Battlegrounds. But we're going to be focusing more on other game modes. BGs is going to come much later in the showcase, because I have some more interesting fights to show than BGs. Anyway, I've ranted about hating BGs enough in this video. Let's talk about this Realm of Legends Captain Marvel. What are we doing in this fight? We're trying to parry her beam if we can help it, and that's going to place the energy vulnerability after we counter the special. It's very hard to nail it on like one-hit special attacks, but luckily there are like no one-hit special attacks out of any defenders that you might commonly face. So yeah, now we have a very large amount of Alliance War fights. All of these are from the off-season, of course, because the Epoch of Pain didn't drop until the same day the season ended. However, you're still going to be seeing a lot of interesting stuff that still could be going on in season, and they're all on the new map, of course, so I'm hoping this is going to be very useful for you. Now, as you know, Unfazed does exist, so what do we do about Unfazed? Well, the thing that I do about Unfazed is, who cares, we fight the opponent anyway. So, I'm going to be using my evade to the max, because I don't freaking care. If we trigger Unfazed, cool, we're going to take some damage. What does Nefaria have to counter that? A butt ton of regen and a butt ton of resistances. So, as you can see here, we're taking like no shock damage. There was an Unfazed trigger, because again, it does exist, obviously. So, but we barely take any damage, assuming that we are in the Ionic Overcharge. And we don't even have to be in the Ionic Overcharge, because your resistances scale up to 100. You don't have to be in the overcharge to access it. If you want to get some extra regen, I think you do. But anyway, as you can see, we're siphoning some healing here. And this fight isn't going to be extreme for like the regen side of things, but we're going to get to fights where the regen is just completely insane. And yeah, so what's the benefit of using Nefaria for this dust? Well, one, he's extremely tanky, he's an extremely safe war attacker even with unfazed existing. Two, he doesn't care about the EMP modification shocks. So, that just means that dust kind of can't do anything. If we take hits, we don't take that much damage. I mean, she could still crit and bypass a lot of resistances, but when she doesn't crit, it just tickles. Alright, now we're fighting Enchantress on node 14. The most complained about defensive placement I think I have ever seen is this fight. Just because of how little options there are and how annoying it feels when you have to remove her green spell, but the heavy attack is, it is unstoppable. So, there I make a mistake and eat a combo. That's the only mistake we're going to make in this fight. We're in the corner, she's at 99%, it doesn't matter, we're going to be chilling. So, one thing you can do, you can use the counter evade in multiple different ways. The first one is using it as an intercept. If you counter evade the opponent's dash attack when they are dashing in, it is going to count as an intercept. You can also use your counter evade to hit her during her heavy attack as another way of punishing it. I don't think there's a massive reason for doing this, but in other scenarios where you want to use that counter evade, you can just use it to hit her heavy attack, and then you're going to get the extra, charges on her and stuff. So, now we want to remove her green spells. I missed there, and then we're fine. If you can react fast enough to countering her heavy attack while you're in the corner, it's not that bad. And we can eat hits. We can absolutely eat hits because we're Nefaria. We have a bunch of regen. We have a bunch of resistances. Resistances that are kind of trivial due to aggression precision. However, it's okay. It's just completely okay. As you can see, like at the very start of the fight when she was at 99% and I was at like 55, we finished at 57. We basically took no extra damage since that point in the fight. So, alright, of course, more Alliance War gameplay. We have so many Alliance War fights to show. We're gonna fight this MCoC on node 46 now. As you probably know, Nefaria loves to deal with passive power gain. And in this fight, there's a lot of that. I mean, MCoC has it a lot in general. And then when you throw him on this node that's going to give him 100% extra ability power rate, which is not only going to interact with his regular stuff, but also Mystic Dispersion, it's pretty big. So, Nefaria can reduce the ability power rate by 90 or 95%, I don't remember exactly how much. And he has to be in his Ionic Overcharge to do it. But being an Ionic Overcharge when you're fighting passive power gain is super easy, because you are placing the energy build-up debuffs constantly because of the ability power gain. That's one of your main ways to access them, is through ability power gain. Regeneration is another one, just the opponent losing some health is another one, and finally when you use your counter evade against a basic attack. Those are the ways of placing the energy buildup. And so every time that you place the energy buildup, you use your SP1 to consume it, you gain some power back, you gain some regen back, because it's kind of funny, when you want to trigger them on your own, you're doing exactly to yourself what triggers the debuffs, being ability power rate and ability power regen, or just ability regen. Because you're going to gain health back by consuming them, and you're also going to gain power by devouring them, which is pretty cool. So that MCoC just got completely annihilated, even with the aspect of evolution, block penetration, and stuff like that. We just block his SP2 and it's fine. It's really not a big deal. And you could also do this strategy, which you probably would want to do in season anyway, and that is invul tank push red. So now we're going to fight this North Star here, which I didn't know if Nefaria could do this. I kind of was just going into it just because why not. I kind of did all the fights I wanted to do that war, so Nefarious health was not a big issue for me. and we're just going to see how well it goes. We do have to deal with the fact that he is going to place a passive slow on me, which is going to shut off a lot that's going on in this fight. However, Nefaria doesn't like dying, so we kind of just stay alive through most of the fight. So I'm going to go for not an evade there, because I don't know about you guys, I cannot stand animations like North Stars and Quicksilvers, because crap like that happens all the time, and it's just like, bro. Anyway, we're losing a lot of health. Luckily I can dex the SP2, and luckily we're going to start regenning a lot once I get to my SP1, trigger a bunch of Devour, get into Ionic Overcharge, siphon a bunch of willpower healing back. So, this node is going to be relatively tough for some defenders when we start seeing some more common placements. So, not exactly looking forward to that, but clearly Nefaria can take a lot if he's just not going to die, right? I don't think Unfazed triggers once in this fight, but also we're not really evading much anyway because of the fact that we're slowed most of the fight. So, here we go for the SP2. Because there is Safeguard, we're not really doing them a lot of damage in general, so a lot of our damage we want to come in red, that being the Willpower Reversal, and Bane, and the Incinerate from the SP2. So, that's just how we're doing a lot of damage in this fight. We're also back at 51%, by the way, after being at like 20-something, and now 60%. So, yeah, he's got a lot of regen, in case you didn't know. If I misdex any of that SP2, as long as it doesn't crit, which of course it can, I'd assume not every hit would crit though, we're gonna be fine because we don't take a lot of damage. Nefaria doesn't take a lot of damage. Accidentally push him red there, but luckily it could get a stand-up intercept, so completely user error at the end, but yeah, we're big chillin'. So, anyway. 2-minute fight. Obviously Nefaria gets mitigated a lot by Safeguard, so I wouldn't be sending him to that node like constantly or anything, but he's just that good. He can take hits, he can heal back, he can resist a lot of the damage from those hits. He's almost a perfect war champ. Like, if he had the Iron Man synergy built into his base kit, he would be the perfect war champ, and even then, I've talked about my strategy during the first war fight. What do you do about Unfazed? If you're in war, you play into it. If you're in BGs, maybe play around it a little bit. But again, that's part of the reason I don't think Nefaria is like a goated BG's champ. Not only because his damage takes a little bit of time to access, but because losing health in BGs is a big deal. But losing health in pretty much any other content, as long as you don't die, does not matter. Like, if you're playing high tier war like I am, all of your all of your loyalty goes to potions, so you don't worry about that at all. Anyway, this Chavez is gonna get completely annihilated, by the way. That was a really fun one. So, 47 seconds there. Okay, speaking of Unfazed, this fight is one of the funniest fights ever, because there's gifted ability accuracy, so if you have the Unfazed Mastery maxed out, you have a 50% chance to go unstoppable when the opponent evades. On this node, it becomes 100%, so I'm gonna go ahead and just keep an Unfazed count on on how many times I triggered Unfazed in this fight, and let's just see what percentage my health looks like at the end. So that's 2. This is 3. And we're going to go for the SP1 there, siphon a bunch of healing back, which is mitigated by Despair because of the regen. And that wasn't 4. Let's see, when am I going to do 4? Here comes 4. There's 4. We got a Rupture on me, it's okay. And then I'm going to go siphon back more healing. Obviously this is a werewolf. Werewolf can't really damage Nefaria that much because of just Nefaria being goated. That's 5. So other defenders I probably wouldn't use Nefaria for on this node. If it's a Mystic, most of the time it'll work pretty fine. So got parried there, but I'm non-contact, so who cares? Eating an SB1 now, who cares? We take like no damage from it. So that I got Unfazed triggered like 5-6 times that fight, and we still finished at 63%. So that's cool. Alright, Unfazed is going to trigger a lot in this fight too. And the next fight. There was a lot of Unfazed triggers against this this alliance we matched up against. So, now we're fighting this Ebony Maw. I don't think there's much going on in this fight. Sorry, I did take a minute to sip my drink. And yeah, unfazed triggered there. Cool thing is that Nefaria likes regen, so once he's gonna get into his overcharge mode, we're just gonna be placing a crap ton of debuffs and stuff. There, I thought that I had a heavy attack that was being able to land, but I was wrong. Also, funny thing, if you counter evade, you can follow it up with a heavy attack. Obviously, unfazed kind of trivializes that, but anyway, there he only crit me once in that combo. Like, this is just ridiculous stuff. And obviously, I'd be entering the fight at full health if I was playing War, and I'd be boosted if I was playing in-season War. So, like, all of this dancing around at 20% is not normal. And, I'd be so much healthier if this was a fight that really mattered. Also, the regen is going to be ridiculous here. He has 5 vigors right now, which is increasing his regen rate, not potency, regen rate. Or, actually, is it the opposite? I don't know. All I know is just look at his health. We're back up to 59. So that's cool. Alright, now we're going to fight one of my personal favorite defenders to fight against with Nefaria because of what it shows that he can do, and that is Photon. So, Photon, she hurts. She hurts a lot, as you know. What's gonna happen is we're gonna build up so much energy resistance that who cares? So, this is gonna be pretty fun. And unfazed is gonna trigger a lot in this fight, as you're about to see. So, we're gonna go in. We're gonna do the counter evades like normal. If you can counter evade her SP1, then you're gonna be doing a lot of damage that way, because you're gonna get the energy vulnerability and stuff. So here, we're just playing normally. She's stun immune on this too, so I can go for some reparries for some extra charges if I want. And here, I realize if I delay my special 1 counter by just a little bit, then I can hit her before the unstoppable, after the unstoppable goes away, and then she's not going to be able to counter me fast enough. So, like here, I didn't do it there because I was a little nervous about it, and I'm going to do it again on the next special, I think. Despair is stopping a lot of my regen. Obviously, that's just kind of what's going to happen when you're fighting Photon. There, I did it too late. Like, this was brand new for me when I was testing it. Like, wait, if I delay a little bit, then I'm gonna be able to counter it. So this was like testing in the moment, kind of. So there, I got it right, and then she's also just kind of dead now. So heavy attack because we can, and that's Photon. So that was a pretty fun one. And we're gonna fight this destroyer on node 37. This current node 37 is much more threatening than the old one. It has a root node, which doesn't make any sense why you'd put destroyer here, but again, off-season war. It has the aggression regen as normal, but also has a node that is going to allow the defender to purify 5 debuffs whenever whenever they activate a special. I'm sorry. So we want to try to get into overcharge, try to consume the energy buildup before destroyer throws an initial special attack, and here we're going to go for the counter evade during his oh, that's funny. So I'm gonna go, I don't know why I'm not just gonna go for the SP1, why I'm not playing it. Okay, I just played it weird. Anyway, we're gonna finish this fight at full health, by the way, because of siphoning regen, but you're gonna get to that later. So one thing I do need to say before someone calls me out for it, I did die to this fight originally, but that was because I was stupid and tried to intercept his dash attack, which was going to be unstoppable anyway, and then I just died because I entered the fight very low health anyway. So also, yeah, my health is full now, so that was pretty fun. But yeah, there's 2 attack bonus on that fight because I messed up and he was at 98% health still. But it was just another kind of user error thing. Anyway, now we're fighting this Sasquatch on node 42. I would not expect to see Sasquatch on this node in most seasons, but We can see Nefaria against Sasquatch. I think this is the only Nefaria versus Sasquatch fight I have in this video, except for Grandmaster's Gauntlet Sasquatch, and yeah, he's pretty good for Sasquatch. You can't get the evade counter on Sassy's SB1. He recovers too fast. However, you can do it on the SB2, which is going to give you, again, that chunky energy vulnerability and make the fight a lot better. And then you're going to be controlling Power Snack on this node a good bit once you get into your overcharge. Which, if your Nefaria is awakened, he's going to like instantly go into overcharge once Power Snack triggers. Otherwise, you need to get into overcharge naturally by hitting 100 charges. But yeah, he will go into it early if yours is duped and they trigger a certain amount of power or regen. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, he's in Wrath now, and I can go for the evade during a special 2 because he's not going to be able to recover fast enough to actually hurt me for it while he's unstoppable. So we can just kind of do that for free. And we're just going to keep doing that. If unfazed triggers, who cares? Because we're at full health. So it doesn't matter if we're at full health. Now we're at like 400 charges. I don't know why I even went for an SP1 there. I just need to go for an SP2 and then lights out. Ability power gain did nothing there. He's going to go for the SP2, go for the counter, no unfazed, super cool. And then relic, heavy attack, he's dead. Didn't even get to the SP2 for Furies or anything. So, now, okay, is this the last war fight? Yes, this is the last war fight. Okay, this is a rank 4 Enchantress boss. With the new node on the war boss, Enchantress is a nightmare, because you have to deal with Energize. Enchantress already throws her specials at an annoying rate, so let's just increase the speed at which she's throwing them by 50%. So, not fun. She's also not playing them at intercepts here. Not very fun. But, this is going to be a pretty fun fight. So, we use the evade there to trigger an intercept, which is super cool. Also, if you don't know, when I am fighting Enchantress in war normally, I like to invul boost and push her to a special 3. And then that makes the fight much easier because you don't have to deal with her spells or anything. But I'm not going to run an invul boost in an off-season war unless I had one expiring, which, to be honest, I might have one expiring. I really don't know. But the fight's going very slowly at the start, but it's not going to stay that way. There are no unfazed triggers in this fight, which could have made it much more annoying. But, again, Nefaria just doesn't die. So, even if unfazed did trigger sometimes, it's okay, because we just take so much damage resistance and take so much regen. Because, by the way, I'm just going to spoil it now, we're going to finish this Enchantress with a full yellow bar, which is going to be pretty cool if you ask me, because it's Enchantress and it's a full yellow bar. So, she's going to drop an SP1 here, a little annoying, but that's fine. I'm kind of gambling by dropping a heavy attack into her miss, but I felt like going for it, and it paid off for me. Gambling versus Enchantress is untouchable usually isn't a smart idea, but it paid off. So, I sometimes am able to counter evade the last hit of her SP2. I'm a bit out of practice, and I was never really consistent at it when I could do it. So, if you can learn how to do that, that'd be super cool. And also, again, there's no energy vulnerability in this fight unless you can counter that, so the damage is going to look a little bit lackluster. But we're also dealing with an Enchantress with double combat power rate, and we're not even pushing her red like the normal strategy I use. So, I'd say, don't complain about his damage. You can see I'm probably really uptight about complaints about his damage, because I've had to deal with a bunch of them already. Anyway, now we're gonna push her to another SP1 again. She throws it. I need to go for a heavy attack that removes all of the spells. Super cool. And then we're going to go for another SP2. No, we're not. We're going to go for another SP1 of mine. Staying at full health, which is super cool. She drops another SP2 here, and then I don't get the evade, but whatever, who cares. I'm going to go for an SP2 here. Gain the Furies, no power backs. I could run power backs, and that would make this fight a lot easier. Yeah, Nefaria with power backs, by the way, is like super good. Because then you can get to like another bar of power super fast to place more, or not place more, gain more charges for your Ionic overcharge. And then we're going to use the counter evade as an intercept, which is really fun. And then we're going to go for the special one here. And she's almost dead. I mean, we've taken a good bit of time in this fight, but again, there's no energy vulnerability, and we're not pushing her red. So, and we're not boosted fully. Anyway, I'm gonna go for the SP2 right here, and then it's not going to kill her, but it's gonna come really close to it, and gonna get a sidestep intercept there and finish her with a full yellow bar. So, that is the Enchantress boss. That's the last war fight I have, and now we're gonna be fighting some BG's fights. Again, watch these with a grain of salt, because not only am I not fighting any Mystics for these BG's fights, because I just didn't get any, we also have to deal with the fact that Nefaria is not a perfect BG's attacker. He's a very good one, but he's not a perfect one. And all of these are going to be like some really relevant defenders. And we also in a meta that I honestly kind of hate, and I probably misplayed a lot. So, anyway, I think Nefaria is better than these fights show for BG's, so that's cool. But either way, we're going to fight Photon first. You already saw me fight Photon in War before, so now we're just going to do it again. And we're going to finish the fight at very full health. This is a Sig 200 Photon, meaning your block is just getting completely annihilated by her Sig ability. But we're siphoning a bunch of regen back. We're resistant to like all of her big damage with the block because energy resist and physical resist. Who cares which one it is, because he has both. And yeah, this Photon is almost dead. We have 13 Furies, we go for the evade there, and then it finishes the job. So yeah, that is Photon. How fast? 70 seconds. Not that bad, honestly. And I'm more focused on the health total than the speed of this fight, because that is Nefarious' strong suit, not dying. It's not necessarily speed, even though his damage is really, really good for most game modes. His strong suit is just his almost immortality. Okay, next up, we're fighting Thanos. I really like Nefaria for Thanos. It's a little bit difficult because of his unstoppable. Because Nefaria does have a lot of hits in his specials, so that triggered his unstoppable, which is annoying. But we're really tanky, so if he doesn't crit me, then we're gonna be fine. If he does crit me, then we're gonna regen a lot back. There, he went unstoppable, and I got hit again. It's fine. He's gonna go unstoppable a lot in this fight, because it's Thanos. He kind of does that. You have to, like, extremely slow play a Thanos fight for him to not go unstoppable, or just bring a slow counter. A slow champ, I mean. And here he's gonna go unstoppable again. That's super cool. But we're gonna take not that much damage, and we're gonna regen a lot back. So, I mean, just look at my health bar. It's kind of ridiculous. So he's gonna go unstoppable again, this time from fight or flight. We do have to deal with panic sometimes, which is going to prevent my evade. But who cares? We're going to finish the fight at full health. So, what, 80-second Thanos fight? I mean, we are punching a rank down, but even then, like, it's not that bad for Thanos. I think he is not Serpent level tanky, but I think some of, like, the better Mystics will finish Serpent faster than Thanos, but then the better champs of the other classes are going to finish Thanos faster than Serpent. I think that's just kind of how it works with Thanos and Serpent's relationship. And yeah, now we're going to fight an arcade. Honestly, playing and fighting against space control champs, which arcade is one of the space control champs, by the way, is like super difficult this meta, just because of fight or flight, just making it to where you can't control space. That was kind of silly. Here, oh yeah, he was like an infinite block bug, which I don't even know how that triggers exactly, but it was kind of funny. Anyway, I'm going to go for the evade here, go for an SP1, get into my Ionic Overcharge. Arcade is going to be Incinerate immune, because he is against non-cosmics, so we do have to deal with that. We can also evade, but we can't actually punish the special fast enough, because you just don't have the speed to do that, but it's okay. Got the Furies here, that's super cool. Got a crit there, that's super cool as well. Now we're unstoppable, and I need to go for a heavy attack, which I'm going to get right there. Remove his tokens and stuff, and then he's going to go unstoppable, and he didn't, because I was able to manage the fight or flight well enough. And then he dies at like full health, because you saw me take some chip at the beginning of the fight. What does Nefaria do? He heals stuff, so this is actually going to be a pretty rough fight for him. I would not use Nefaria for Domino. I was just kind of trying to see if it worked, and it does for other game modes. It doesn't really here, because yeah, you can regen and be tanky for most fights, but Domino is not one of them. She crits very often. She is going to crit fail you very often. Crit fail is energy damage, so as your resistances go up, your resistance to crit fail is going to go up. But anyway, I wouldn't do this matchup in BGs, but I would do it in other game modes. She does just screw you over, as Domino does. Like, if you're using a non-tech for Domino, it's not usually a good idea. But anyway, we're gonna go for the evade into the special one there, devour some stuff, mess up a sidestep, because that was cool. Gonna gain some charges back though. And here I'm gonna evade the special one, which I don't know what the hell happened there, but it's okay. We want to get to an SP2 now if we can help it. And I'm gonna eat a combo because I just messed up. And now she's... oh, I'm unstoppable, never mind. I want to try to... this is silly. This is so silly. Anyway, she's dead now. Don't do that in BGs. Do that in other game modes. Just don't do that in BGs. This is a Sig 200 Domino too, man. Alright, speaking of Sig 200, rank 4 Sig 200 Serpent. You've seen me do this fight before, probably. You have not heard me commentate over it, and I'm going to commentate over it now, so that you'll explain why so I can explain why Nefaria is a really good Serpent counter. Just don't do it in BGs. That's kind of the common theme of this. Okay, so you can reduce Serpent's ability power rate, but I believe a max of 50%, unless you're a Mystic, which is annoying, but also that's fine. Like 50% less power gain is still really good, and Nefaria siphons power for himself, so that's also super cool. You're also just so tanky. You can block his specials whenever. Like, we're regenning back from not only from the fear like you would naturally, but also from siphoning from your SP1, by also from reducing willpower. The only thing you just don't have in this fight is good damage, because that's just Serpent for you, and we can't evade. So Nefarious damage is just cut so much smaller, because if he can't evade, he doesn't feel the best. And I don't think in any of these BG's fights I actually was able to counter evade. I was for Photon. Okay, Photon was the only one where I was able to get a good counter evade on the special. And there are a lot of decent defenders that Nefaria is going to be really good for in BGs. It's just I didn't get the clips. The opponent I was running friendlies with didn't really have them. He's very good for Enchantress in BGs. He's very good for Sasquatch in BGs. Obviously, those are Mystics, so you might not always get those matchups, but those are some really strong ones. And here I'm going to eat an SP1 at the end of the fight, because I didn't expect that to actually reach me. It did, but whatever. We time out just before he triggers his death immunity. I mean, we would have, like, canceled out the regen and stuff anyway, so... yeah, I mean, just don't do it in BGs. I don't know how many times I have to say it. You can do that in War, you can do that in other quests, just not BGs. So, alright, now we're going to be fighting some Epoch of Pain fights, starting with this Hulkling here. This Hulkling was... this was an interesting fight. It actually showed me some interesting Nefaria tech, shall I say. I'm going to call that out when we get to it. It might be here, actually. So, you can still counter evade during certain animations, like your medium animation. You can just dash in and then go for the counter evade even when you're still in that medium animation, and that's gonna transpire into another thing that I'm gonna do next. See there, like, it was clearly in the medium animation, and here we're gonna throw this into the block and I can still counter evade it. We're still in the special animation at the time of me about to get hit, but it's okay because if you have your evade off cooldown and you can time your stuff right, then you're okay. Like, you can't block, like, that's why you need it, that's why you need it off cooldown. You can't block because you don't, that's not how the game works, but you can counter evade, which is kind of silly how that works, but it's just how it works. So anyway, we're gonna go for the dash in here, get the evade, go for the heavy attack. Like I said, it works pretty much every time. I whiffed it earlier in the fight just because I messed it up. And here we're gonna go for the special 1 counter, which I am early on, so we don't actually get it, which is unfortunate because that would give me an energy vulnerability. But regardless, here I'm gonna go for the SP2 into block again. I have my evade ready, and we're gonna use it there. So normally for this Hulkling fight, you want to use heroes because then you will place a stun through their block, which is going to be very helpful, obviously. Nefaria is not a hero, but you can still drop the specials into his block because the special 1 won't get punished, you're far away enough, and then the special 2 you can just go for the evade for. And even if the special 1 was too close, then you still have that evade if it's not on cooldown and you manage everything properly. So here I'm going to go for the evade into not a heavy attack, we're going to heavy attack this way instead. And then we're going to get him to block, and then he dies right there. So, big hit into his block. And that was a pretty fun fight if I do say so myself. We're going to do the next 2 fights in Epoch of Pain against this Absorbing Man and against the Idoom after it. Idoom has sped up because it's not like a fight where Nefarious utility is really showing. In Ab's case, this is a pretty interesting fight. We are showing off the Decelerate synergy in this fight, which is with OG Iron Man and I believe another champ that I don't remember. And what the Decelerate is going to do is it reduces the ability accuracy of Unstoppable and Evade. If you know Anti-Venom, if like the 5 of you who know that champion is in the game, Anti-Venom has this same mechanic. Not that many champs have it. Nefaria with the synergy is another one. So, what's the goal for this fight? The goal is to keep Abs in Uru form and make your damage energy, which you can by the node, but also Nefarious damage is all energy anyway when he's in his Ionic mode. The fight's gonna be like really slow at the start because I just wasn't lining things up properly. And also you have no red damage whatsoever in this fight except for maybe Whiplash and Power Sting. If they did have the same node that Tigra does, which I don't remember if they did or not, then you would have Whiplash or Power Sting in this fight. Otherwise, you just don't. And we're just going to be counter evading every single special 1 from Abs and placing energy vulnerabilities, and we're going to be doing a lot more damage because of those energy vulnerabilities. So the only annoying thing is that Abs has a lot of crit resist, and obviously you want to see the big yellow numbers from Nefaria, which we're just not going to have a lot of access to because his crit resistance is really high. But it's fine. We're going to go for the special 2 there. That was a 65k crit. That would have been like 125 minimum if that crit. Unfortunately it did not, but that's okay. And even the white numbers, like, they're still very good. So who cares? Alright, yeah, we don't even need to worry about fight or flight because of the synergy that's placing decelerates every time we place ionic charges, which we're placing constantly, by the way, because we're preventing regen, which is prevented anyway by Indomitable, but it's still prevented, so it's still triggering the charges. Every time Ab's health goes lower, the more potent his regen is supposed to get, so we're just gaining even more charges. Which, I mean, like, once you have 30 of them, who cares? You just use them as currency, and you can only consume 8 on every SP1. And via Hurt Locker, I can't just throw a bunch of SP1s back to back. If I could throw a bunch of SP1s back to back, this fight would be a lot faster, because I'd just get to like 600 Ionic charges or something, and then just spam SP2s from there on out, and we'd be having Furies for most of the fight. It would be a little faster, maybe not a lot faster, but that would be the strategy I'd go for if Hurt Locker wasn't here. He's in his magma form now, who cares? We just go for the heavy attack there, and then I'm going to go for the special 2 after I do a counter evade. Or, yeah, okay, I still did a counter evade. I just thought I was going to do it for a special. Did not. Who cares? Go for the evade there, energy vulnerability up. I'm going to go for another evade if Abs drops a special, which he does. We have the Furies. They're about to fall off, though. That's okay. Evade there. 54k medium crit. Love to see it. And then Abs goes down. And now we're going to fight Idum. Okay, so like I said, the Idum boss isn't anything that specifically Nefaria is super good for. So I'm going to speed this fight up a good bit. But I did, find an interesting mechanic where, again, you can do the counter evade and then follow it up immediately with a heavy attack. And that's going to help you get rid of that little passive he's going to place on you. That's going to detonate if you don't launch a heavy attack in a certain amount of time, which I didn't know what it did at first. So, like, you can see me here checking to read it. I'm like, oh, I need to use a heavy attack. Oh, too late now. But it's whatever. We're just going to go for it there. There's no regen for us to siphon in this fight, so any regen we're going to get is just from Devour. And then I'm also trying to see if I can manage to parry his SP2, which I do like twice this fight, much later in it. And yeah, the goal for this one is just to counter his special attacks. Then you're going to get a grit, which is going to allow you to just knock him down during his aura whenever you feel like it. It's kind of the whole thing here. So I'm going to, eat hits. It doesn't really do any damage. The shocks do nothing, and then his combos after don't really do anything because Idum can't crit, so all of the damage he's dealing to me is subject to my resistances, which is pretty great. It just means that we don't die, as again, Nefaria is pretty good at not dying. So anyway, I have to manage Hurt Locker, of course, which is frustrating, and it's just kind of a slow and steady fight. We're like halfway through now, and then the fight's gonna end pretty soon now, because like once I get one energy vulnerability up, it's like, oh my goodness, okay, my damage is completely different now. There it is. I finally got it. I was like, wow, okay. So now we're gonna go for an SP2, and the energy vulnerability again is up. He doesn't feel like doing stuff immediately, but then he does, and then we go for the evade into a heavy, drop an SP1 here, siphon some stuff back, and now does another SP2, get the evade. The regen is getting basically reversed and stuff. I'm special locked, but we're doing a bunch of damage to him anyway, so he goes down just like that. Okay, now we move on to another quest. This is the Grandmaster's Gauntlet. There are quite a few bosses in this quest that Nefaria is just super good for. Starting with this Terax here, because if you didn't hear it already, Nefaria has a lot of resistances. And Terax's rock field is energy damage, and we have a lot of energy resistance, and he also likes ability power and extra combat power rate and stuff, and yeah, I'll just let you see it for yourself. This is kind of silly. We're going to siphon power gain from the power from afar node. We're going to siphon power gain just by devouring debuffs. We're going to place a bajillion debuffs because of Terax gaining so much power, and yeah, here he's going to go there, and then I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. I need to eventually get a counter evade on his special just to get the energy vulnerability up and speed up the fight, so I'm going to do that right here if Terax drops a special, which he wants to wait on for some reason. But there he finally does. I'm like worried about getting too much power now, because that would kind of suck. But anyway, go for the special 2, and big crit, 92k crit with only 1 energy vulnerability. And yeah, now we're just hitting like a truck. I'm gonna go for some heavies, 82k heavy, and special 2 there. He's dead, full health. Full health against Grandmaster's Gauntlet Terax. Pretty ridiculous if you ask me. So, next Grandmaster's Gauntlet fight against this Dragon Man. Dragon Man, he's on aspect of evolution here. He's stun immune and power draining abilities, which Nefaria does not have a high chance to fail. This is a fun one. We can counter evade Dragon specials relatively easily. We're going to siphon some of his power gain once we get into the overcharge. And it's just going to be an all-around good time if you ask me. So, power gains go in there. He crossed a bar of power, placed some of the Devour on him. And here, I need him to drop a special, which he's going to take forever for. Also game lag, that's cool. So, I'm going to go for the counter evade here. I want to do counter evade again to get the energy build up. And then, we're going to go for an SP1 in a minute, which is going to but get me into overcharge. So that I can stop most of his power gain and siphon a lot of it too. when he has it active. Like there he consumed it for the Fury and stuff, so we don't get a benefit from it there. But as the fight goes on, he's going to be getting more crit resist, and I really want him to ideally not have a lot of that, so I'm going to try to kill him as fast as I can at this point. We're going to fall out of overcharge here, unfortunately, so I need to get it back as fast as I can so I can start siphoning power gain again. And there we go, we got it with the parry, so he triggers his power gain here. Am I going to go for an SP1? Maybe I will, I don't know. Looks like I'm going to go for SP2. That also works. Look at the energy vulnerabilities. 27k light attack. That was with no Furies, by the way. And then SP2. 60k crit on one of the beam hits. Didn't even see the last one. Dragon Man dead. So, now we're going to move on to fight Domino. This Domino has Matador and Power Shield. Let's just see how healthy I am at the end of the fight, because you saw me do this fight in BGs, and it was just not very good. But, here... let's see how healthy I am, because I really don't know, because I don't remember. But again, you know, like he's not great for Domino, but he works well enough. You gain the energy resistance over time. Domino's gonna start failing stuff as she does, but for the most part, it's manageable. So we're gonna go for the Devour here, and then I need her to drop a special. Ideally, get the counter evade on it if I can help it. And ideally she throws specials in general, which she's going to eventually do. There it is. And evade. Don't place the energy vulnerability though, because we got scammed. And now, going to go ahead and just siphon some more back. And at this point, I need her to drop a special one. She throws it. Can I get the evade? I can. I do get an energy vulnerability too, so now she throws it again. No evade, I was unlucky. So now I'm going to wait for unlucky to fall off, go for the special 2. Big damage. Very big damage. No crits, unfortunately, but that's okay. Unlucky. I want her to drop a special as fast as she can. And she does right there. Go in, evade, place the energy vulnerability. And there, we're going to go for it again. I was just late on that parry. I go for the special 2. Big crit. No crit. No incinerate either. That's kind of annoying. Oh, and there I just don't parry, I guess. Okay. Barely took any damage, though. She didn't crit me, so that was a big part of it. And then I wait for this thing to fall off, and then siphon back a little bit of health, go into Ionic Overcharge, but she's already dead. Alright, next up, Gauntlet, Mojo. I uploaded this fight as a solo video, because the damage in this fight was completely mental, and I was really excited to show it off. Yeah, let's see. Here, we're going to go in. This is a fun fight because you can counter evade him super easily. You can get a bunch of parries on his specials. And there he says Stunned Champ. Nefaria, I don't think I've actually shown this yet in the showcase. He's going to be gaining Degeneration Resistance, scaling from 1 to 100 charges, and you can get a max of 90%, which means you're basically not taking degen damage. And I just want to keep evading the specials, and then if I keep doing that, we're going to be getting the energy vulnerabilities. We're just going to be doing an absurd amount of damage. Keep parrying his specials. Yeah, Mojo once with a defender, and now he's not, because some champs like this exist. That was like a 58k medium attack, and he's dead now with this heavy. 54k heavy. Did we have a vulnerability up there? I don't even remember. Okay, now we're gonna fight Epoch. So he's not the best for Epoch. He's very tanky though. So that's a positive. Because you can either try to dex Epoch specials. Sometimes you'll get them right, sometimes you'll mess up. Just depends on how good you are at it. And you could also just block them, and you have a bunch of energy resist like Nefaria does to not take a lot of damage from them. But the evade is going to be a bit of a problem, so maybe I should have like cut this fight out, because there's not a lot to show that's like really positive towards Nefaria. It's just kind of like he takes the fight, because most champs work for this fight, quite frankly. But anyway, the Incinerate immunity is going to eventually trigger as well, which is going to be a bit annoying, but it's whatever. Do I get the evade? I do get the evade into an SP2. Do some that was a 93k crit at the end of that. Super cool. Get the evade there. 24k medium. I'm out of overcharge now, but that's whatever. Do some parries there. Barely take any damage. What health are we at? 96. And that was with blocking a good bit. So anyway, 230 charges. We only have a 50-50 on the evade now, which I believe is gonna fail if I remember. Yeah, evade failed. That's whatever. He drops a special one here. Are we gonna take damage from it? Pretty much no. That was like 45 damage on that parry. And then go for the special 2. He's gonna go Incinerate Immune right here. Apparently I couldn't parry there, but barely took any damage from it. Nefaria doesn't take a lot of damage, as you probably know by now. And I'm just gonna finish him out right here. Relic, and then we're gonna get an SP2 right here. And the fight's over. I think we have 3 more Gauntlet fights. Actually, these fights are pretty cool. This Sasquatch fight is very similar to the one you saw in Alliance War, but the 2 fights after that, we're actually going to be fighting 2 skill champs, Killmonger and Nick Fury, which are really, really fun, so can't wait to talk over those. But this Sasquatch fight doesn't go the best. I think I like eating SP3 in the fight because he didn't want to drop a special and I wasn't in my mode yet, so I triggered Power Snack. Yeah, I'm gonna mess up here. What's gonna happen? He doesn't want to do anything, and then oh yeah, I was gonna like hit his block because I thought he was gonna be passive, and he wasn't passive. He instead just wanted to dash in, so I accidentally intercepted him. So that didn't work out well for me. We eat the SP3, but I'm siphoning healing back. Oh yeah, this is kind of cool. So that's nice. It didn't last too long, but once we get Sassy in the lower phases of his health, we're going to be siphoning more health back, I think. The Rupture is just tickling, so nice willpower. Gonna go for the special 1 here, of course, devour some of the debuffs, and then I'm gonna go for an SP2 soon. Ideally, we get the evade, which Power Snack was stopped there, that was cool. Please throw it, Sassy. There he does, and do get the evade. Awesome. Evade, no, we got the disorient trigger, that's fine though. And then special 2, no crit. He has a lot of crit resist, so I don't necessarily expect that. And then we're doing a good bit of white numbers. And heavy attack, 59k heavy attack, special 2, and I just messed it up actually. I'm gonna go for the evade here, drop an SP1, get myself back in my mode, so now I can control Power Snack normally and stuff. So here he has a lot of charges actually. I'm gonna go for one more SP1. Hopefully my SP2 is ready by the time he goes into his Wrath, and it is. We do not have energy vulnerabilities active at the moment. I'm probably gonna get one here, and he's actually not triggering any regen. Oh, that's because he doesn't do that if you have Despair canceling it out. That's right. So if I go for, well, not even Despair canceling out, he just doesn't do that in general. Okay, so I might have lied to you guys earlier. I thought there was gonna be regen in the fight. I mean, we're 81%. What were we at, like, earlier? 50? So, there was still regen in the fight, just not the regen that I was expecting to see. And then he dies after I trigger Life Cycle, I drop the SP2, and he's gone. So, next up. Sorry, I had to take a sip and a drink again. Okay, next up is this Killmonger. This is Polka Dot Power. So this is pretty silly, actually, because we are going to be gaining power by siphoning the power he gains from triggering debuffs back on us. And we're immediately going to go into Ionic Overcharge whenever he triggers that burst of power, which is going to be super cool, because now we're doing only non-contact hits. And when we do only non-contact hits, we are not triggering his reverberation damage. So this is a pretty silly fight. We don't have any way to actually use Polka Dot Power except for on the SP2, which we haven't even gotten to yet. Just look how much power we're just siphoning away. That's pretty stupid. So anyway, he goes for the SP2 here. I'm not really good at evading the special 2. I think it's possible. I just haven't really done it. Still not even dropping my SP2 yet. what are we gonna do? Gonna go for an evade, I assume. Yeah, so there we triggered the Sharpen Claws node, which normally you don't want to be using Nefaria versus champs that bleed you, because you will lose some of your charges. If you're fighting a Mystic, that's not a thing. He doesn't lose charges when he's bled if he's fighting a Mystic, so that's definitely helpful. But there, every time I block, I'm losing a certain amount, which is annoying, but it's not that big a deal, I guess. That was a 114,000 damage crit at the end of that hit, which mind you is with class disadvantage, and yeah, that's kind of silly. That's kind of silly if you ask me. So, okay, one more fight. It's against Nick Fury. And this, speaking of silly, this is also very silly. So this node has kinetic transference, which is just going to be fun for Nefaria because we like ability power rate. It also has vigor, which is fun for Nefaria because we like regen. And Nefaria likes to kill both of those things. So what's going to happen is we're going to siphon a bunch of regen, we're going to siphon a bunch of power, and then once Nick gets to his second life, he won't, because we're just going to cancel most of the regen, because Nefaria is like one of the only champs in the game who will stop regeneration rates in a way that is not in the form of a debuff, or passive even, because Nick purifies all debuffs and passives when he switches forms. Nefaria's regen rate control is on him, so it's not going to get removed by Nick being Nick. So once we get to push him into his second life, you're going to see that basically nothing happens, because we're controlling the regen rate on our side, and it's not on Nick's side. There I got a counter evade on the SP2. That's pretty cool. And here, siphon some stuff before he goes into his second life, and there he gains a little bit of health back, not much though, and get the counter evade, finish the fight at full health. So, very nice. Alright, what are the few fights I have left? Okay, so I have the side quest Onslaught left. The last fights aren't very important. They're just kind of little bonus stuff, I guess. Side quest Onslaught. So, obviously, Nefaria isn't the best for Onslaught because of the fact that you're placing an Incinerate on him. Funny part is, he actually does pretty decent for Onslaught even then, because you have so much energy resistance, you don't care about the extra Narrow Shocks. Also, this node has a bunch of regen on it, so that was pretty fun, because Nefaria like regen. But anyway, this fight actually works in BGs. Again, it's not the fastest, because Nefaria is just not the fastest champ out there, and you don't have access to an energy vulnerability. Trust me, I've tried, it doesn't really work. And there, that was stupid, I just got clipped, I guess, but it doesn't matter, we're gonna regen back. So, once we go for an SP2, it's going to place the Incinerate. I'm going to get more Narrows on me, but it doesn't matter. And as you can see, I'm back at full health after that. So, yeah, this regen is just really stupid, man. I'm so surprised this actually didn't get changed. There I missed a parry, but it's not a big deal. And here, we're going to go for the evade into an SP2, finally have some good damage going. Ideally dex the special, which I am going to do correctly. The Narrow Shock damage is just tickling, and we're gonna finish Onslaught in a moment. I should have just went for the relic there, but he is down. So, couple fights left. These are just a couple fun little ability power rate fights that I was taking on a quest to showcase eventually another champion. I needed to get to Cerastes, and there was a couple fun fights that I used Nefaria for along the way. Hyperion has power gain, as you know, so we're gonna get to the SP1, get into the mode, and then the fight's gonna start getting fun from there. He doesn't feel like doing his thing, as Hyperion usually doesn't, but we eventually get the special out of him, and then I can get into the Ionic Overcharge, and now his power gain is basically not there. And actually, it is there. We have it, so that's pretty fun. I'm going to go ahead and siphon a bit more. Am I going to siphon even more than that? No, I'm not going to. I was getting some consistent special 2 counters, 118,000 crit there, man. And then go for the evade, 49k medium, Hyperion dead. So that was fun. We're going to do that one more time against another defender on this path, which I don't remember. Okay, it's Hulkling. Yeah. Hulkling has both ability power rate and regen very consistently, so as you can expect, Nefaria like that. Also, he's got 2 special attacks, which are relatively easy counter evades. So, relatively easy. Like, it took me a little bit of practice to get the special 2 down, because I had to do the whole dash-in thing. But, yeah, we're going to gain a bunch of charges at the start, because of Hulkling's regen and ability power rate, of course, which is awesome. Love to see that. And here, we're going to go for the evade. I actually get it. And then I'm going to go for the special 1, get myself in my overcharge. Going to head and siphon both regen and ability power rate, which is super cool. Going to go for another SP1 there, which probably didn't need to do, but give me some more charges so I can focus more on my SP2s. And here, am I going to do the thing? Okay, so actually, this was recorded before the Epic of Pain Hulkling was recorded, so I didn't have the evading down perfectly yet. But we go for a big SP2 there. He's indestructible now, so don't get to see the incinerate damage, but it's all good. And here, go for an evade, and this Hulkling is just getting completely destroyed. Special 1, make him lose a bit of his charges, and a crit at the end of the attack finishes the job. And we have one more fight for this video, which is literally just against the Alliance Raids Deathless She-Hulk. Just one little Raids fight, just to add a bit more different content to this already insanely long video. I'm going to start wrapping it up because there's nothing to really mention. I think I used Crit Crusher for Nefaria, and yeah, we're just going to do a bunch of damage. So, anyway, Count Nefaria, he might be in the class that I wanted the least from my Epic of Pain gem, but is that to say I'm not loving him? Absolutely not, because I am having a very good time playing this guy. And I just made like an hour-long video, and his best game mode, Alliance War, this season hasn't even started yet. So, expect so much more Count Nefaria content to come, because I love playing him. I will be making so much content on this guy as I'm able to, and it's going to be pretty exciting, I hope. So, yeah, this showcase took me not as much time to make as some other ones, even though it's like a really long duration, because Nefaria just is so good for so many different things. It wasn't that hard to find places for him to go. Some champions, like, I'll spend weeks making a showcase on, because I just don't know where to take them. That was not the case for Nefaria, because he just takes so much. He's such a strong champion. Anyone who doubts him, I don't even know what to say to you. So, there we go. Capped Deathless She-Hulk in just over a minute. And that is my showcase video. If you enjoyed it, leave a like, a sub, all the YouTube things I'm obligated to tell you. Look forward to, I think, my Silver Sable showcase, which is going to be out the day after this one's out. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed watching this one. I'll see you in the next video.